Hi everyone, I am a student from Niwasa Institute's Abhiman Sir's English Medium Science class. Today I am here to talk about the first unit in our syllabus, Wonders of the Living World. Do you know what is meant by the environment? The environment is our surrounding, including us. It consists of land, water bodies, humans, microorganisms, plants, etc. Do you know that we can divide the environment as two main parts? They are living things and non-living things. The organisms which has a growth is known as living things or living organisms. The organisms which doesn't have a growth is known as non-living things. Do you know that we can divide living things as three main parts? They are animals, plants, and microorganisms. Do you know what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are the organisms which cannot be observed by the naked eye. To observe them, we will need a compound light microscope. Some examples are for microorganisms: Chlamydomonas, Paramecium, amoeba, bacteria, euglena. Diversity among plants based on morphological features: roots, stem, leaves, branches, flowers, and fruits. Based on habitat: terrestrial, aquatic, mangrove, and coastal. Based on nature: trees, shrubs, herbs, and creepers. Now let us talk about the diversity among animals. They are based on habitat: terrestrial, aquatic, and air. Based on feeding mechanism: chew and swallow, swallow without chewing, and suck. Based on type of food: carnivorous, herbivorous, and omnivorous. Based on locomotion: walking, swimming, flying, running, creeping, and jumping. Based on external characteristics: shape, size, color, and appendages. Now let us talk about characteristics of organisms. We can divide them as five main parts. They are growth, nutrition, movement, respiration, and reproduction. Growth: the increase of size, height, and amount is known as growth. Examples: a puppy turning into a dog, germination of a seed. Nutrition: satisfying the food requirement of organisms is known as nutrition. We can divide them as two main parts. Do you know what are they are? They are autotrophic and heterotrophic. Do you know what are autotrophics? They are the organisms which can produce food from themselves. Some examples are green plants, chlamydomonas, and some bacteria. Do you know what is meant by photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide used as air, soil, water, and sunlight produces energy and food. This process is known as photosynthesis. Heterotrophic. Do you know what is meant by heterotrophic? Heterotrophic means the organisms which cannot uh, make food from themselves. Uh, they either depend on directly or indirectly. Animals which depend on directly: cow, lamb, bull, sheep, etc. Uh, they depend on indirectly: hyena, leopard, lion, tiger, etc. Now let us talk about movement. Do you know what is meant by locomotion? Moving one place to another is known as locomotion. Here are some appendages of some animals how they locomote. Fish, fins, snake, scales, human, legs, dog, legs, birds, wings. Do you know that some animals can't locomote but they can show movement? Some examples are sea anemone and coral polyp. Do you know that some plants can do sleeping movements? Yes, they can. Some examples are mimosa, albizia, cispinia, tamarind, and many more. Do you know in the evening plants bend to sunlight so then they can get more sunlight for photosynthesis to produce food and energy from themselves. Now let us talk about respiration. Oxygen in the air once breathed in reacts to food stored in the body, and this process is known as respiration. Now, you may think, why does our chest go up and down? Because if the chest goes up, that means you are inhaling oxygen, and if the chest goes down, that means you are exhaling carbon dioxide. Now, let us do a small experiment whether exhaled air contains carbon dioxide. You will need colorless lime water, a straw, and a glass. Pour the colorless lime water into the glass. Then insert the straw and start bubbling. After some time, observe it. The observation is the colorless lime water turns into milky white, and the conclusion is exhaled air contains carbon dioxide. Now let us talk about reproduction. A matured living being giving birth to a new member from the same species is known as reproduction. Some examples are germination of a seed, a dog giving birth to a puppy, a cat giving birth to a kitten, and a mother giving birth to a baby. Now, let us talk about the differences between the characteristics of plants and the characteristics of animals. One point is chlorophyll is present in plant cells, but in animal cells, chlorophyll is absent. Another interesting point is animals can locomote, but few can't locomote, but they can show movement. Plants can't locomote because their roots are stick to the ground, but they can show movement, and some plants can do sleeping movements. Another interesting fact is plants have unlimited life, growth, and because of that they can stay for a long time, but animals don't have unlimited growth. They have only a limited life to live in their time. And plants do photosynthesis and they produce food from themselves. But animals either depend on directly or indirectly. Now let us talk about dichotomous key. Do you know what is meant by a dichotomous key? Dividing organisms with their presence and absence, and this feature is known as dichotomous key. Now let us do a small dichotomous key. The animals are cat, cow, cock, butterfly, leech, and rat snake. We can divide them as with legs and without legs. With legs, cow, cat, butterfly, cock, without legs, leech, and rat snake. Now let's divide rat snake and leech as with scales and without scales. With scales, rat snake, without scales, leech. Now let's go back to the animals with legs. We can divide them as with wings and without wings. With wings, butterfly and cock. Without wings, cow and cat. Now let us divide cock and butterfly as with feathers and without feathers. With feathers, cock. Without feathers, butterfly. Now let us go to the last part of this dichotomous key. And those two animals are cat and cow. We can divide them as with horns and without horns. With horns, cow, and without horns, cat. Thank you for listening to this lesson explanation. See you in another video. Bye and stay safe.